So some of this content I'm going to go over, and there are certain slides that will be hidden on purpose from what I'm showing live, but you do have access to in the PDF. And I'm doing that intentionally to save time for us. And I'll call out whenever I'm hiding slides here, but you'll see them in your resources for studying afterwards. So a brief overview of a day in the life as a FAANG TPM, assuming, for example, a 9-hour workday. It's not a hard and fast rule, but just for instance, how would a 9-hour workday split up? So we'd have 5 hours of interactive time, 3 hours of focus time, and a collective 1-hour break. So that interactive time you'll see in the PDF is a lot of meetings with team members, stakeholders, and a lot of those meetings TPMs host. So we host things like daily stand-ups, doc reviews, presentations with leadership, and project kickoffs, that kind of thing. In the focus time, that's whenever I take my time to read emails, respond to Slack messages, and either review documents and provide comments or create my own documents, dashboards, etc. So the more time I have to focus in some ways, the better, but I also have a duty to my team to be available for a lot of in-person meetings. So I just wanted to highlight, if any of you are not yet TPMs and you're wanting to break into the space, here's a good picture of what can I expect from a day in the life. So here I've passed over a number of slides that you'll be able to reference, like I said. And so now we'll just go briefly into the TPM core competencies. So they are fourfold. Again, this is one example framework. It's not going to apply everywhere across the board, and I'm sure you could come up with additional buckets here. But the four that we're presenting on today, at least, are concise communication. So that can happen across status reports, emails, the drafting and updating of statuses of clear goals, and really crisp project documentation. That means if you can say something in 2 words instead of 500, say it in 2 words. And that's something that Amazon really emphasizes and has helped me grow individually. Technical depth, so that's across system design, operating systems. That might be machine learning, AI. It could be product dependent and company dependent. Project and program management, you'll hear referenced later on as program sense. That is really the essence of what distinguishes a program manager from a product manager. And so whereas product managers are interfacing between customers and internal stakeholders, oftentimes TPMs and program managers, we take our inputs from product managers. So requirements of what a specific device needs to accomplish for a customer. We take that general vague idea and we turn it into something actionable, and then we work with the technical team to execute. And we do that execution through agile frameworks, through change management practices, stakeholder management, etc. And fourth, and the reason I listed it here is because it really does impact a lot of the work we do as TPMs. And if we all become better at navigating ambiguity, this can become a really strong superpower for us. So in order to do that, we use data-driven approaches. We develop clear metrics of what we can measure as we're progressing through a program, so that by the time we get to the end, we can definitively say, yes, we've met this goal. No, we've not met this goal, and here's why. And we use mechanisms as our accelerators. Any questions here so far?
So here's the thing, right? So as you know from the poll, most of us are trying to become a TPM, right? So when we're trying to attend the interview, probably they are expecting us to demonstrate what kind of a leadership, what kind of a management that we can actually demonstrate in the interview, right? How do you, or what is your idea on how we can present us during the interview? This is not anything regarding what you have told us now. As we move on, if you have a space, can you explain on that?
Yes, I surely will. And I captured your question as someone who isn't yet a TPM, how do you demonstrate transferable skills? That's how I'm going to think about it. So I'll make sure to touch on that as we go. And in brief, the more specific examples. So an unspecific example would be, I gathered stakeholders and held meetings. Okay, cool. That doesn't tell me like anything as an interviewer. I can't go to my team then and say, Sumita is going to be a really great TPM. I know she hasn't been a TPM yet, but look, she can host stakeholder meetings. I need something more specific. So I want to know for a specific project, maybe that you needed to raise $100,000 to move from an engineering validation build to a preclinical build or something like that. I'd like to be able to attach a specific contribution and impact that you were able to have in your role, even if you didn't have the title of TPM. So I'm going to say in summary, it's going to be really largely based on specifics. And then you'll want to develop your own core stories, experience stories around all of the various themes we're going over today, including these 4 competencies.
Okay, all right.
Vishali?
Yeah, hi. So my question is about mainly on the communication. I know that's I am a program manager and I manage the engineering program. So I'm a TPM in a different way, in the senses I don't do the system designing yet, but even though I do participate a little bit in it, but not as much as any TPM in the FAANG company would do. My question too is about the communication. So I understand it's a absolutely critical one. And are there any pointers, any books or URL or courses you can recommend or suggest for where one can, improve upon that?
Yeah, so your question is specifically about the communication piece or system communication.
Communication.
Yes. In a later slide, let me see what slide number it is. In a later slide, I'll be showing a table of how to prep. So it'll be slide 31. Mm-hmm. That will include a couple links specific to each of the FAANG companies on how to interview prep. I know at Amazon, we often expect a writing sample to be submitted. And there are, for instance, YouTube channels where ex-Amazonians or current Amazonians, they give their perspective of how best to prepare your technical assessment, your documented written assessment. And so I would say, succinctly, you can look at Amazon's offerings for how to prepare for the written assessment, and that will likely transfer to the other FAANG companies.
And Amazon's, sorry, can you repeat that, the last one?
Amazon, as part of the interviewing submission package, as part of candidacy, there's a written assessment that is due. So there's a lot of online guidance about how to prepare for the written assessment, which is like a take-home assignment.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah, so those types of pages will give you tips and tricks on how to improve on the communication front. Mm-hmm. We'll go Tripti and then Sanjay.
From the communication, I have a question. Can you name the project documentations? And from the 4th, I have the question. The tools which you use for the data-driven approaches. Just the name, simple name.
Okay. Crisp project documentation. So this could be what at Amazon we call a PR FAQ, a press release and FAQ. So it's a document that in duration is about 4 pages in length in a Word doc format and is paragraph narrative style, outlining if we are going to project into the future as if we've already launched this product, what would a press release about it say? And that is an initial guide into what we are going to go design and implement. Another example of crisp project documentation would be a technical design doc, which you can expect to include system diagrams, block diagrams, flowcharts, and narratives, plus some data-driven tables. So at Amazon, our project documentation takes the form of metrics-driven dashboards or Word documents, and I know some other companies lean heavily on slides. Similar content, different format. Then you'd asked about which metrics, I believe.
Used to data-driven approaches.
Yeah, for data-driven approaches. There's not really one specific tool. I'll just say anything numerical that can tie to customer impact is where we would want to work backwards from as a TPM. So that could be number of customers engaging with Alexa every given month, or it might be the number of customers who advance from having a product in their cart to clicking to purchase. So percentages and numbers like that. There's not a specific tool, like software tool, that's used across the board for those data-driven approaches. We'll take one more question and then proceed. I will make sure that we'll get back to other opportunities for asking questions. I believe we're at Sanjay next.
Yeah. So I have a question around technical depth core competency. So what is level of technical depth needed, like operating system, databases? I know system design and some part of PDLC and other details, but I'm not having expertise in operating system or databases. So
okay,
is it really must have, or?
They're not must-haves. They're going to be company and role specific. So it's really going to depend on which FAANG company or non-FAANG, but big tech company you're applying to, and which team you're based in. The reason I list these are just, system design, operating systems, machine learning, AI. They're flavors or like areas that you might want to study up on, but it's really going to depend on the role. So I think the best way for you specifically to prepare is once you have an application that you're preparing and a job rec with a job ID, if you work with us as IK TPM staff and you can share the job post with us, we can help you brainstorm the specific topics and the depth you need to go into. It's going to be person, role level, company dependent.
Yeah,
but we're here to help you on that brainstorming. All right, I do see a couple other hands raised. We're going to continue forward for the moment, but jot down your question and we'll get back to it at our next Do You Have Questions opportunity. Thank you.
Want to become a software engineer at Google? You can, like thousands of our students. You just need to learn from those who've already cleared FAANG interviews. At Interview Kickstart, our interview prep courses are developed and taught live by 150 plus instructors from Tier 1 companies like Google and Facebook. Our courses are tailored to help you crack software engineering domain interviews, including back-end, full stack, machine learning, embedded systems, data science, and more. To learn more, book your free webinar slot today